Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. How are you all doing, everybody? I hope you all had a wonderful week. I know I definitely had one that actually feels good. Like, after I had my cold and everything, I finally had the time where I could officially go and start my 2025. Like, after all the holidays and after getting sick, like, finally I can have some time where I could get back to my regular life, keep making videos, and all that kind of fun stuff. And I know that today, or at least on the day that I am recording this, this is a time where many, if not most people, are not really fans of looking into what's going on TV. So it's best to go and have some escapism, to forget about what's happening in the real world. And as we all know, if there is one place that we know is perfect to escape from politics, it's by watching AniMat's. Man, I just wanted to go and say that because I know there will be some people who would just go and absolutely flip just by hearing me saying that. All right, anyways, all joking aside though, I do have a heck of an episode, a really wild one, to go and present to you all on this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. Now, there might be a few moments where we will dab into the real world, but for the most part, a lot of what I have here are some crazy animation-related stories. So strap yourselves in, because we really are going to be in an episode that will emphasize the crazy. So with that said and done, now I would like to go on to the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear it, folks. Are you ready? All right, so let's see now. Let's see. Oh, yes. I see people are prepared. People are set. People are ready. That is wonderful to see. And so, with that said, it is now time that we shall go and get things started. And with our first story that I have here, actually, before we go into our first story, I did forget to mention that there are several stories that did occur that, unfortunately, I did have to go and take out. It was one of those times where it wasn't easy to go and pick which of the 5 stories that I would be covering on this episode, and I had to make a few sacrifices. Of course, we have seen a teaser trailer of the new 2D animated series from Glitch that will be brought to us by Dana Terrence. I believe the series is called Knights of Guinevere. So yeah, we're going to have a show that's going to be from the creator of The Owl House and the studio that brought us The Amazing Digital Circus. Of course, a lot of people have mentioned a little while ago, there was the highly controversial Vulture article that discusses about Neil Gaiman and the things that he has done. Yeah, it's just a massive load of yikes. And I mean, the kind that I don't know if I would even be allowed to go and read out loud in here. So yeah, I highly recommend you go and read what the article says about Neil Gaiman, but I'm just warning you now. It's not fun, and it's full of yikes, so be prepared for that. And one more thing to go and mention, of course, is the passing of the legendary filmmaker David Lynch, the same man who has brought us Eraserheads, Twin Peaks, and many more. He is unfortunately no longer with us, so the dude will be missed. So those were the extra stories to go and quickly mention here, but what I want to go and look into is actually a trailer. And this won't just be looking into a specific trailer, but we're also going to go and quickly catch up on what's going to be happening with this particular project, because just before Christmas, it did make a lot of news and it did make a lot of people upset. So we will also be looking into a little bit of that as well. So as we will go and begin this, we're going to go and start things off by taking a look at the trailer for the upcoming Pixar series, Win or Lose.
Here you go, Frank. Your single soy latte.
And that is Win or Lose, the upcoming Pixar animated series that is going to be coming to Disney Plus on February 19th. So I'm just going to go and start off with the positives. So I just want to go and begin by saying that from what I've been seeing in this trailer, honestly, this show looks fantastic. Like, I could see a lot of great potential in here. Like, number one, the characters immediately, like, no pun intended, but right off the bat, they are fantastic. They're a lot of fun to watch. They're highly charismatic. Their voice acting is very solid. And I can tell that this is going to be one of those shows that you're going to be walking out with at least one character that you would absolutely adore. In fact, just by looking at it, I will say it is cute. Like, when you do see the, which I think could be like a teacher character or one of the older characters, like obviously has a bit of a crush with a barista and, like trying to ask her out, and it's just not the easiest thing, you know?
Man,
you've heard of it.
Yeah, so that little moment is cute, and especially especially at this point, like when she would say like, "Oh, he's like a little brother to me," or something like that.
Younger brother to me, you guys.
Yeah, that honestly, I think we are all like listening and watching. We've had a moment where we've experienced something like this, or at least some of us have. I know I've had my moments when, I've experienced that, and it's like, oh, that is crushing there. But it's not just that, but also like with some of the other characters as well. Like, what's a lot of fun also is the way they use visual metaphors to go and express how the characters are feeling. Like, it's not just with the, with the older guy who has to wear a suit of armor in order to go and protect himself from rejection or like some of the crappy things in life. But then there's also, like, you got the girl who's highly anxious, and from there, like, forms this blob that's kind of like her own version of anxiety or like a little blob that's meant to be the flight or flight response to go and try to figure out like, what can you do? Or there's like the comedian who's imagining like his own little stage, like trying to figure out like, what can he do when he's being confronted of the fact that he's not really as funny as he may think he is. So animation-wise, also, it is just fantastic. Like, it's already enough that we do have this nice little base animation where they're kind of blending Pixar's technology, but with some of the more modern aesthetics that you would find in animated shows. They've already captured that very well. So I would say that so far from the things that we have seen in this trailer, they got the characters right. The animation is so beautiful. And honestly, it feels like a show that I would highly be interested in checking out. I think this actually has great potential, especially one that is crafted by Pixar. Honestly, I could actually tell, like, especially from the stories that I've heard from the people who were making it, like, there was a lot of love that was put into this, and like, they had a passionate team who wanted to go and create this show. And honestly, from this trailer, I think it does show. But on the other hand, however, and this is kind of the downside, and this is something that I wanted to go and catch up on because this news actually came around just before Christmas. Yes, it's time to go and bring up that controversy. So as you may probably know, again, like just a few days before Christmas and the holidays in general, Disney received massive backlash when word actually came out that for the Win or Lose series, there was one character that was supposed to have a little bit of a storyline related to their trans identity. And from there, we would be looking into how they would go and try to confront their trans identity and facing dysmorphia. I believe that's what the term is called. Chatwall, you could go and correct me on that. But, it's basically having a little bit of an identity crisis in a way. Hold on a sec. Sorry, just had to go and let out a little bit of a cough there. So yes, the plot line is basically that there is a trans character that's facing dysmorphia and having a little bit of their own identity crisis, trying to figure out who they actually are. But unfortunately, Disney put out reports saying that not only did they remove that plot line, but they completely updated the character to where they have now become officially cis. So it's basically a massive backlash that this isn't just censorship that Disney is pulling. It's also full-on trans erasure, taking away the character's identity that they are trans. And I mean, it was already bad enough that people were already fresh off of the controversy related to Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, where they kind of pulled a little bit of the same thing, where there was one episode that they didn't air that was related to trans people in sports that focus on the show's trans character Brooklyn. So they already went through that, but now they kind of doubled down on it, and they went after Win or Lose by completely removing any notion that there is a trans character in there. And the reason why they did so, they pretty much went straight forward and tried to pull up the stupid excuse about, oh, well, we don't want parents who are uncomfortable about the subject to talk about it with their kids. Like, basically saying that they're doing it for the parents who don't want to talk about trans people. Or, as you may know, there is also another term for those kinds of parents, and that is bad parents who are not ready to become parents in the first place. I mean, if you're not ready to discuss to your kid about the different kinds of people that are in this world, regardless if they're straight, if they're part of the LGBTQ plus community, if they're not like among the two known genders, if they're male or female, like if they're non-binary, if they're, and if they are trans, like if you're not ready to talk about that, maybe you shouldn't even become a parent in the first place, because you don't seem to be ready to go out in the real world and experience how the real world actually works out there. So from there, it just feels extremely frustrating. And I'm not gonna lie, even for me, as someone who's been like a lifelong Disney fan, it's honestly very upsetting that they would go and do this. And this is exactly why, for me, I can't help but feel like I'm very conflicted when it comes to the notion of checking out Win or Lose. Because on one hand, it looks like it could be a great show. It looks like something that could actually be really awesome to go and check out. And again, I'm already loving the characters that they're presenting. The animation looks fantastic. I see a lot of amazing potential that could actually result in a great animated series on Disney Plus. And I think this could be something that might legitimately be worth checking out. But on the other hand, however, I'm personally worried that if I do go and check out Win or Lose, then I'm enabling the Disney executives who decided to go and do the idea of trans erasure. I'm just worried that by watching this, it would enable the whole trans erasure business idea, and that Disney would go and keep doing more of that, where they would keep hiding stories from like that are related to the LGBTQ plus community. And that is something that, I really don't want to go and encourage Disney to go and do, or I don't want to discourage Disney from doing more LGBTQ plus stories. They should have that. And not to mention that just literally, I think like literally hours after the news actually came out about that whole trans erasure controversy, the people at Lost Media Busters, believe it or not, they actually leaked the storyboards of what that plot line would have been. And I actually saw it and it was great. It actually looked awesome. And they actually did this very fun way of how to visually represent dysmorphia. But sadly, we're not going to go and see that. So honestly, for me, I'm just like, again, I'm very conflicted. It looks very promising. And as much as I do want to go and support the artists and the animators at Pixar, because obviously they've done it looks like so far they've done an amazing job with Win or Lose. It's just, I'm worried that by watching it, I'm enabling what the executives want to do with their whole agenda of trans erasure. So that's honestly my little confliction that I have just from watching this. But maybe you guys might have a little bit more of an idea of what you want to do. So now I would like to go and pass this on to the chat wall. And I'd like to ask you all, what did you think of the trailer for Win or Lose? Are you guys interested in checking this out? Do you think this has great potential? Or are you still upset of Disney erasing a character's identity as trans? In fact, I don't know. I haven't checked this yet, but I want to go and see if I can go and do a poll on Twitch. Let me see here. Can I go and actually do that? So let me just go and write down, will you be watching Win or Lose? So I will go and ask yes. I will go and write no as well. Let's see. Okay, so we can do the poll. So that's going to be very interesting to see. Oh, and by the way, thank you, Meta Ralph, for being the new fish this time. By the way, there's just something I want to go and quickly fix up here just to go and reactivate this. So at least you will see the results going on. Anyways, oh yes, the chat wall. Don't worry, I did not forget about you guys. Okay, let me see here. I will admit that this trailer looks very promising, especially with some gorgeous animation and like able character and likable characters and an interesting storylines. What really makes me upset is the fact they removed the trans storyline, and it proves how the executives at Disney are nothing but spineless cowards trying to bend the knee to bigots, especially nowadays with how we need trans representation more than ever. All right. Okay. Controversy aside, even though this whole mess does reek of cowardice on Disney's behalf, this does look pretty fun. It's like how it hits a different art style for every episode. The characters seem likable, and the animation is really expressive and fluid. I'm gonna give it a watch, but I gotta say this. The guy asking out the barista is so relatable. Like, I've been there plenty of times, but where the flippity flop is her nose? How is she supposed to sneeze? Don't worry about it. Maybe that's just part of her charm, you know? I mean, have you seen people without a nose? I mean, they could be kind of cute if they don't have, like, the skeleton holes, at least, you know? I mean, some people are into noseless girls. I mean, if that's their thing, I'm not going to go and stop them. All right. Let's see now. I gotta say, this got me interested. And about that guy and the barista lady, damn, I'm with you, dude. The animation is spot on and the characters seem likable. However, part of me wants to step away from Disney because of them being a baby that Sonic the Hedgehog won and Mufasa didn't, and hiding tweets from Sonic fans. But overall, this looks promising. And I wish Disney would be more open about trans people. Wait, I honestly, I don't know, like, maybe that happened, but, like, I don't know where this happened. Maybe it was specifically, like, a Twitter thing or something like that, like, maybe during its opening weekend or something, but, yeah, I don't know. Either way, I think it's best not to go and touch the, like, Sonic the Hedgehog and Mufasa thing. Like, yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog won the opening weekend, but if you've seen how things are going at the box office, that's a different story. Anyways, but again, I'm not gonna go and touch that because that thing already seems like a whole freaking mess. Anyways, Since I've already mentioned multiple times I've seen the first 2 episodes of Win or Lose, one of the moment highlights in the trailer about the guy asking the coffee lady, I saw the whole episode and it's the most heartbreaking episode to date for me. One thing that happened recently is that I'm now friends with one of the voice cast members of the show, Rosie Foss. We first met at D23 and later found each other on Instagram. Oh, that's cute. Awesome, dude. Wow. I'm actually surprised to find that apparently most of you are still going to go and plan on watching Win or Lose, since about 3/4 of you, or about 74%, actually said yes, you will be planning on watching Win or Lose. All right, interesting. Let's see now. Well, how do you think I feel? I've been angst and conflicted about things all the time, even towards the things I love and passionate about. This is totally outrageous. I've even engaged in challenging the comment section by doing the Spider-Man reference, saying, I missed the part where that's my perspective, when that's saying they saying hateful and bigotry things. This is one of the moments that I've got emotionally selective. I don't think we're talking. I don't know if we're either talking about Win or Lose or maybe something different, or like the Sonic and Mufasa thing. I don't know. There's a direction that it's going. I'm just not sure where. Okay. Anyways, there's obviously a lot of talent behind Win or Lose, and I would love to watch it. If not for the removal of that trans episode would make me feel dirty doing so. To me, watching Disney going down the path that they have been has been like watching a friend failing to break an addiction. Honestly, I'd much rather be a real, actual ally to the LGBTQ plus community than someone who just uses them for my own personal benefit. All right, I understand. I get that. I get that. Let's see now. Honestly, I'm going to check out Win or Lose. I'm also not going to the controversy the controversy affect my enjoyment one bit. It's like fixating on a scene or moment that was cut from another movie or short, and even did a little donation. So thank you very much. Let's see, any other comments? Just want to go and check out. To be honest, I don't mind more representation so long as it's not forced onto us and the writing actually works. I think the series looks good and has a lot of potential. Pixar has a nice track record with their movies, so it's a nice change of pace with the TV series. Disney has kind of been hypocrites right now with most of their series. Marvel especially has forced representation on us. Well, it depends on what you mean by forced representation, because like, there's a lot of arguments that many people are pretty much saying that there isn't really such a thing, because it could be a question related to your tolerance seeing people of diversity more so than the actual use of people of diversity in particular shows and movies. So I'm just saying, be careful with how you go and use the term of forced diversity, because that opens another can of worms if there actually is forced diversity in the first place, or if that even exists. All right, I think I'll read one more comment before we go and move on to the into our first break, actually. Let's see, something that I haven't read yet. Okay, sorry. Let's see, I haven't read this one then. Pixar has really hit a new low with bad decisions. This anti-trans movement's real goal is to fully erase diversity from humanity, but I think that counts that the country who has accepted to display non-binary LGBTQ plus characters in animation is Japan. No, I won't call them by the label of trap characters. I'm not going down that rabbit tunnel. Take Osana Najimi from Komi Can't Communicate. They are a genderqueer character who is real friendly with both main characters. Then again, just an example. All right, actually, there might be one more I could go and read. I'll go with this. I was a bit skeptical at first, but after seeing this trailer, I'm much more impressed by the story, animation, and art style used. Reminds me a lot of Aardman, but 3D. And even though we can't ignore the giant elephant in the room, please give it a watch and support it. A lot of talented people still worked really hard to make this show, and while perhaps one day we could see what was meant to be brought back, don't put this aside regardless of what was cut. It needs the support now more than ever. Okay, so from what I've been seeing, even though like the elephant in the room does make things pretty awkward, there's still a lot of enthusiasm to go and check out this series. So again, if you want to go and watch Win or Lose, then keep in mind that it will be coming out on Disney Plus on February 19th. All right, so now we're going to go on to our first break. And when we do return, we're going to look into Disney, now more as a whole, where they got themselves into some massive trouble. In fact, they found themselves into a big lawsuit. But let me just say this, that, oh boy, I don't know what the fridge is crazier. What they've been accused of or the lawsuit itself. So stay tuned for that. Welcome back. Now, on our next story, we are going to be looking into Moana. And this weekend, it was actually a major moment for the sequel, Moana 2, considering that it has officially crossed $1 billion at the box office. So not only did it break big records on its opening weekend during Thanksgiving or American Thanksgiving, but now it has made it to the point where it has become Disney Animation's first movie to make over $1 billion since Frozen 2. And the first time that since Frozen 2 that they actually got a big hit release in theaters. Now, say what you will about Moana 2, I understand that creatively it's not their best. And yes, I do agree that maybe they should have kept it as a Disney Plus series instead of a movie. But you got to admit that it is quite impressive to hear the story about a project that was supposed to be a Disney Plus series has now been turned into a major blockbuster hit at the box office. It turned into a movie that made over $1 billion. That's quite an amazing feat right there. But that's not what I'm going to be looking into. I'm not going to be talking about the big success of Moana 2. I'm not going to be looking into how it made over $1 billion at the box office, because there is another piece of news that actually occurred that really went into a different direction with what's happening with Moana. And that is regarding a lawsuit. Yes, an animator by the name of Buck Woodall decided to go and take action against the Walt Disney Company because he accused them of stealing his idea in which he developed a project called Bucky. And he accused that he took the company took that Bucky project and turned it into Moana. And now Buck Woodall is trying to seek action against Disney and trying to go and get $10 million from the company. Oh, no, wait, no. Sorry. That's a little bit of a mistake. I don't mean $10 million. Correction on that. I meant $10 billion. Yes, $10 billion. The dude is accusing Disney of stealing his idea that they used for Moana, and now he wants $10 billion for it. And from there, to go into specifics of why he's going into this lawsuit, let me go and read you here from my source on Animation Magazine. As it states, the suit states that Woodall produced a screenplay and trailer for Bucky and shared details of the project with Jenny Marchick, then the director of development for Mandeville Films, in 2003 when the studio had a first look deal with Disney. Marchick, who is now the head of feature film development at DreamWorks Animation, allegedly requested additional materials including character designs, storyboards, and production plans in a bid to greenlight the film. The similarities, which the suit puts could not possibly have been accidental between Bucky and 2016's Moana, include the key plot following a teenager who sets off on a dangerous voyage in Polynesian waters to save an endangered island, as well as recurring themes based on Polynesian beliefs, particularly the incarnation of spiritual ancestors as animals, a plot involving a necklace, a protagonist encountering a tattooed demigod toting a giant fish hook, and a giant creature inside a mountain. And they even went on by saying that even in Moana 2, there are also some elements in there that they took or allegedly took from the Bucky project. Now, of course, there have been comments from some of the people who have made Moana, specifically Ron Clements, in which he stated here, Ron Clements, a Disney veteran who directed and wrote Moana alongside John Musker, Don Hall, and Jared Bush, said in a court statement pertaining to the first suit, Moana was not inspired by or based in any way of Woodall or his Bucky project, which I learned of for the first time after the lawsuit was filed. Now, keep in mind that this is not actually the first time that Buck Woodall is trying to sue Disney for this particular reason. He has tried a few times. I think, like from my research, I did see that the first time I believe he tried to do so was back in 2022, I believe, when he first tried to file the suit, but he had a bit of complications. It didn't really work out. The judge would say that he filed it way too late and stuff like that. But now, after the big success of Moana 2, he got the opportunity to go and try again, even though there have been previous times that he would try to do. Even last year, he would try to go and sue Disney for this particular reason. Okay, so let me just go and first state the obvious, like, what the fridge is with that number? Like, why go $10 billion? Why do you want to go and try to get $10 billion from Disney? Like, that alone, I just need to ask, are you out of your mind? Like, you literally have to be quite insane to unironically go up to Disney and say, hey, I want $10 billion. Like, regardless of whatever the reason it is, it's like, hey, that movie sounds a little bit like my project. I want $10 billion for that. Like, that alone is insane. Look, now, from what I've heard, they said that apparently the number was pulled because that is a fraction, specifically 2.5% of the income that apparently Disney has made, I think either overall or because of like the amount of money that they've made from Moana alone as a franchise. Either way, the number that they pulled, it's still absolutely ridiculous that the dude would unironically think that he would go to court and try to sue Disney and thinks that he could go and get $10 billion, which for the grand majority of people around the world, or for almost everyone around the world, $10 billion is an unheard of number. And I can already say that it doesn't take a law expert to tell you that there is no way in hell that this artist would go and end up getting $10 billion in this. Even if he would end up winning, he ain't gonna get freaking $10 billion just because he accused Disney of stealing his idea in particular. And not to mention that it really is worth noting, and I might as well go and ask this, do you honestly think this is the first time that Disney got into trouble because of this kind of controversy? Do you think this is the only time that Disney or any other studio has had an artist or had someone come in and accuse them of stealing their idea? Because there have been a lot, and I do mean a lot of examples. Because with what we've been seeing so far, I've actually found several, and some that actually came to mind. Because this lawsuit sounds very familiar. It reminds me of the time back in 2017 when the screenwriter of Total Recall accused Disney of stealing his idea for Zootopia and tried to sue him. And then it reminds me also back in 2015 when someone accused Disney of stealing their idea for Frozen. And keep in mind that when it comes to Frozen, that went into several lawsuits. Like there have been several people who would try to go and sue Disney because they claimed that, oh, they stole that Frozen was my idea and Disney stole it, try to do something like that. Or also, it reminds me of back in 2011 when someone accused Disney of stealing their idea for Cars. And then in the same year, another person tried to accuse DreamWorks of stealing their idea for Kung Fu Panda. And then back in 2002, someone accused Disney and Pixar that they stole their idea for Monsters, Inc. It's a story that we've been hearing again and again and again and again. And this one, the one related to Moana, is no different. The only thing that makes it stand out is this ridiculous number of thinking that they can get $10 billion from Disney. And I can assure you that the ending of all these, they end up pretty much the same thing, where it's usually the studios like Disney who end up winning the cases. And it could be for a little bit of a variety of reasons. Rather it be because there's not enough sufficient evidence to do so, that the judge or the court decided to just reject it before even having the whole lawsuit actually happen. Or in the case of the Kung Fu Panda controversy, that it turns out that those people were actually con men. And that specifically with the Kung Fu Panda one, the guy actually, like, the evidence that he tried to prove that it was his idea, he had like a bunch of concept art of what he claimed was his idea for Kung Fu Panda, but it actually turned out to be completely traced from a Lion King coloring book. And no joke, it actually turns out that the guy is now pretty much facing, he's facing a prison sentence, or he's pretty much in jail now for fraud. So yeah, he got screwed massively hard. Now, I will say though, that there was one time that, that it actually did happen in which the person who accused the company turned out to be kind of the winner. And that was actually related to a Frozen one, when the creator of the short The Snowman accused Disney with something related to Frozen, where they saw that teaser trailer with Sven and Olaf, and the Snowman creator thought to themselves, that looks a little bit too familiar. And they actually sued Disney in court. And by the end of it, they actually settled at the end of it. They decided to go and settle, and the Snowman creator walked away with some money, while Disney was able to go and continue with Frozen and continue making the sequels and keep growing the franchise as we know it today. And that's a major thing that's also very important to note, is that the best case scenario for this artist is that Disney would just go and settle, and that's it. And even if they do settle, he's not going to get $10 billion. I highly doubt if he's going to get $1 million. Like, he's going to get, maybe he's going to get like a few $100,000, and that is it, while Disney will go and continue making Moana as if nothing actually happens. Either way, Disney is prepared for the best case scenario and the worst case scenario. And with this outcome, with what's going to be happening, it's not going to destroy Disney, and it's certainly not going to go and destroy Moana. It's not even going to destroy its reputation, especially when I just shown you that we've seen this happen again and again and again and again, when they would go and try to sue Disney or whatever company that they stole their idea for a major franchise. And that's another thing that I want to pull out. I want to go and express how this lawsuit honestly feels like it's just massive bullcrap. And that is the fact that with these lawsuits, you may have noticed that there is a little bit of a pattern, and that is the fact that they always go for major franchises. They just don't go, they don't just go after big hits. They go after like some of the company's most successful franchises. Like, they're going after the big ones like Frozen, Moana, Cars, and all that kind of stuff. The ones that have been proven to be massively successful. Because I can guarantee you that you will never hear someone go and file a lawsuit against one of the major studios because they stole their ideas for a movie that ended up flopping. You're never going to see someone accused DreamWorks of stealing their idea for Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken. You're never going to see someone try to sue Disney and accuse them of stealing their idea for Strange World. No. They want to go big. They want to go after the big ones like Frozen, Moana, Cars, Monsters, Inc., and all that kind of stuff. They want to go for the heavy hitters, the ones that have been proven to be massively successful. And after the companies have ranked in millions upon billions of dollars upon those franchises, that's when they decided to go in and try to sue them. And even in this case right over here, like honestly, like just the timing just feels way too suspicious. The fact that this guy decided to immediately go and file a lawsuit soon, like just before Moana 2 crossed the $1 billion mark at the box office. Now, I know that technically he tried to do it before, even before Moana 2 was released, but still though, the earliest that I could find that he would try to go and file that lawsuit was back in 2022. And that was still way after the first Moana movie was proven to be a major hit. And not only that, but has been proven to be a massively successful franchise. Like back in 2022, that was when not only was Moana the major Oscar-nominated beloved hit, like not only did it gather that great reputation that it has and proven to be a great success, but it was also a time when the merchandising was also very successful. And even though it was even before Moana 2 was announced, this was still at the moment that we knew that Disney was making more Moana projects. It was back when Moana 2 was still a Disney Plus series and that they were still way into production. And this is not to mention, speaking of Disney Plus, that Moana 2 became one of the most streamed movies of all time. So it was still a moment that he waited until Moana became a major hit so that he could go and file that lawsuit so that he could end up with major big bucks. So this is why overall I look at this and I feel like this is nothing but a massive joke. Not only is this the same freaking song and dance number that we've seen again and again, where an artist or someone would try to accuse Disney or another company of stealing their idea and trying to demand big bucks from them, and especially going after like a major franchise, but especially with what we are seeing here, there's this extra layer of ridiculousness by trying to go and say that, oh, I'm owed $10 billion because this was my idea, and I thought of it first with Bucky instead of the whole, and you did it later with Moana. Honestly, I just feel like it is absolutely ridiculous. And I'm just going to say the outcome right now, Disney is going to walk away scot-free. Like, no matter what, like in this situation, I feel like Disney is the big winner in this already. Either the judge is going to rule in favor of Disney, either this thing is going to be quickly dismissed before action could officially go and start, or even like the worst case scenario for Disney would be just make a settlement, give Buck Woodall some cash, and they can continue making Moana the big success that it is today. And that is it. But either way, this means absolutely nothing. This is not going to stain Moana's reputation. It's not even going to even stain Disney's reputation. It's a guy desperately trying to get his 15 seconds of fame, and he got it. And honestly, he's just making himself look like a massive clown. And I don't know Buck Woodall personally, but I feel like with this kind of move, it's either the dude is either a legitimate con artist who's trying to find a get-rich-quick scheme and try to accuse Disney of something that obviously never really happened, or he is a victim, but he is a victim of a very scummy lawyer, like a lawyer that's trying to tell him, yeah, you know what? You actually got a major case here. And you know what? I think you could get some big bucks out of it. I think you could actually get $10 billion from Disney from all of this. So let's go and actually file this lawsuit, and you're going to walk away with some big bucks. You're going to become a billionaire because of this. You know, honestly, it's either the guy should quit now and like walk away from that lawyer, or the dude is just getting himself into trouble for no reason. But overall, I just find this to be absolutely ridiculous. And it's just, and again, it's just a joke. Like, honestly, like, there's a part of me that maybe would want to say that it's a sham, but either way, like, maybe it would be too harsh of a word to go and say that it is a full-on sham, but honestly, I'm comfortable to say that this whole thing is nothing more but a stupid joke. And really, I think even the most cynical of Disney haters would look at this and honestly wouldn't even believe in Buck Woodall, because let's be real. Do you honestly think an artist trying to accuse Disney of stealing their idea of one movie, and even though we don't know what the truth is or not, regardless, there's no way he's gonna go and like walk out with 10 billion. I'm just saying. All right, so with that said, now I would like to go into the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, what do you all think about the Moana lawsuit? Do you think the artist actually has a chance of winning this? Do you think this whole thing is just absolutely ridiculous and should be tossed out immediately? Let me know what you all think. All right, let's see what we got now. These get-rich-quick schemes that have been going on for decades always happen to big corporations because they're just easy bait, and that's all. At the end of the day, audiences don't care whether an idea was stolen as long as they were entertained. No way anyone is winning a lawsuit of $10 billion frickin' dollars in this, though that would be quite the karma for Disney. For the record, though, I don't think any one person should have that amount of money. Oh, yeah. No, I totally agree with you there. Suddenly getting $10 billion from a lawsuit, like, that's honestly unheard of. Like, even major corporations who try to sue each other, like, they wouldn't even be crazy enough to go and, like, sue each other for, like, $10 billion. It's an unprecedented number. And, just by saying $10 billion alone, that's already enough that it makes it impossible to take this lawsuit seriously. Let's see now. Is it even worth doing these lawsuits? We all know how they end. I thought we learned that from Laurie Madrid and Stanley Mouse. The number in damages is absurd. However, and it does make me wonder, is Bucky making this up? Did this actually happen, or is this some get-rich-quick scheme? I can't prove that I'm right, but there's more evidence for this case than against. Exactly. I mean, it's something that, if you think about it, anybody can go and do and actually file a lawsuit against Disney. Like, you can actually make some of your own drawings, and you could say that, oh, this plot line that they did for their new movie, like, oh, for Win or Lose, oh, they stole my idea, this idea for this series about a group of kids playing baseball, and having these visual metaphors about their problems. That was all my idea. Like, you could anybody could go and try to do that, but I could guarantee you the chances of actually winning that kind of case, it's extremely close to zero. Like, you would need 20, it's 0.00. You would need zero of those. You need 20 of those zeros before even putting in a legitimate number to show you if you even have a chance in the first place to actually win that kind of case. Okay. Anyways, let's see. Okay, these types of lawsuits are absolutely stupid and unwarranted. Why does this happen related to anything Disney Animation worked on? Anyways, these lawsuits obviously never work, and yeah, total BS. I also hate when people online wanting Moana 2 to lose when this is not even true at all. Also, that Zootopia lawsuit is also stupid. You can't really sue someone for stolen ideas. Exactly. It's like, well, and I can tell you why they're going, they usually go after Disney Animation. It's because they want to go after the biggest targets. They want to go after the ones that would make the most significant punch and that would gather the biggest attention of them all. Because I can guarantee you, if someone would try to go and say, sue Sony Pictures Animation for Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, for example, it wouldn't gather that much attention. People would not necessarily care all that much because, well, this might be a bit of a hot take. There's not that many people who actually do care about Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs in the first place. But if they go after someone like Disney and go after for some of their major movies that is world renowned with something like Frozen or Moana or Tangled or anything like that, then that's going to be gathering a lot of attention, and that is most likely something where you can go and make a lot of big bucks out of it. So that's why, honestly, like, a part of it is for the spectacle of it all. Like, if you want to go big, then go after the biggest and most well-known one, which is usually Disney animation. Let's see now. What other comments? Okay, I can imagine seeing part of this story about Bucky being true. However, I feel like this is just going to be like the Finding Nemo lawsuit and just lead to nothing. Oh, and there's another example. Like, there's one for Finding Nemo as well. That it's just a coincidence in ideas, and that it'll just lead to unnecessary. In the case of this guy's lawsuit number, yeah, that's not even how much Moana got from 1 and 2 at the box office. He's just going to get himself blacklisted from any industry. You aren't even going to get a settlement to pay for legal bills. Yeah, that's honestly the only thing that I'm wishing this guy is that I hope he has a cheap lawyer, because this entire mess he's getting into, he's just going to end up paying, he's just going to be paying again and again of the lawyer trying to bring him into this mess in the first place. Let's see now. Let's see, what else can I read? I honestly shouldn't be too surprised of this happening since it happened multiple times throughout the years. But really? $10 billion? That's stupidly high even for a lawsuit. Hopefully this bullcrap will be dismissed since, again, it's stupidity at its finest. I also find it very comical you mentioned about the Kung Fu Panda lawsuit that the man got himself in prison. Also, is he talking about Bucky the Squirrel from TENG? No, I think it's his own idea of what Bucky is. Let's see now. I haven't seen Moana or Moana 2, but dang, when I heard that Disney was being sued for $10 billion, I honestly had a big laugh about this. I mean, this amount of money that the animator is suing, in my opinion, is insane. On top of that, the animator doesn't even have proof that Disney stole his idea. So yeah, even though I had a laugh about this, there's no way that the animator is winning the lawsuit. Exactly. Now, I just want to go and state this. Now, from an outsider's perspective, we don't necessarily know everything that's been going on. In fact, we haven't even seen any of the evidence that would back up his claim that Moana is a ripoff of Bucky. Like, we haven't seen any of the concept arts and stuff like that. But still, though, just from what we are seeing, just from what we are presented in the news discussing about this entire situation, it just feels extremely unlikely that Buck Woodall would even have a chance to go and actually battle against Disney, let alone actually have a chance of getting some money off of Disney because of this entire case. Maybe the chances are not absolute zero, but I'm just going to say right now, this whole case, like I said before, it's just a joke. It's nothing but a waste of time. And really, it's just something that the guy himself, like, Buck is hurting himself more so than wanting to hurt Disney. All right, so now that we got that done, it's time we're going to go on to our next break. And we're going to go into a little bit of tech news. Now, this is something that fans have been asking me again and again and again to go and discuss about, for me to go and cover. Well, it looks like the moment actually did happen. For a little bit, though. What even happened in the first place? Well, stay tuned for that. Okay, we are back. Now, on our next story, we're going to be discussing about a moment that people have been waiting for so long. In fact, we have been hearing it for months, especially around the end of 2024, that it was going to happen, that it was gradually going to happen. We've heard a lot of cases about it. But it wasn't until this weekend when it finally did occur. Not to mention that I've actually had people asking me again and again and again that at one point in the podcast that I should talk about this particular moment, even before that the action would actually take place. Well, the moment finally did occur, and I think now it is time that we could go and discuss about it. So let us go and talk about the TikTok ban. Yes, it finally happened after months of negotiations and going to court against the US government. TikTok has now been banned in the United States. Now, as you may have known, and you probably have heard for quite some time, TikTok had been in a long legal battle against the US government. I mean, technically, it has been in several legal battles against many different governments around the world, but in particular, the one that really did stand out is the United States, mainly because of the fact that they wanted to propose a full-on ban, like to go and take the app completely from take the app away completely from people's phones. And for the longest time, TikTok tried to go and defend themselves and make their claims about why they should go and stay. You know, like making the arguments about freedom of speech, the First Amendment, and all that kind of stuff. But despite that, the US government and all those politicians, they cannot look past many of the issues that they say are pretty problematic, rather it be regarding data privacy or regarding the fact that it has strong connections to China and possibly the Chinese government. So from there, they decided to go and put a ban and even set a date, specifically on January 19th, to ensure that the app would truly be gone. And even when they had their final chances to go and to keep it safe, to keep it alive and stuff like that, ultimately, the Supreme Court decided to go and upheld their decision to keep it banned on January 19th. And from there, they officially decided that they would do it a little bit earlier than usual, which it didn't happen on January 19th, but a few hours prior, specifically on January 18th, at 10:30 p.m. or 10:30 p.m. Eastern, where they decided that the app would just completely go dark. And for that moment, when people tried to go and access on TikTok in the US, all they got was this message right over here, to which it states, reading from my source here on The Hollywood Reporter, by the way, a law banning TikTok has been enacted in the US. Unfortunately, that means you can't use TikTok for now. We are fortunate that President Trump has indicated that he will work with us on a solution to reinstate TikTok once he takes office. Please stay tuned. So pretty much already right off the bat, like now they're just pleading to Donald Trump in the hopes that, oh, maybe we'll negotiate a way to go and bring TikTok back. And even Trump, despite the fact that in the past, he's the one who actually spearheaded the idea of banning TikTok in the first place, he talked about the idea before about possibly bringing TikTok back for like just temporarily for 90 days as they would try to go and resolve the situation and try to figure out what they could do in order to keep TikTok alive in the US. Well, as it turns out though, the ban did not even last long. It didn't even last 24 hours. I mean, maybe a little bit over 12 hours, but not even a whole day that it got banned, because a day later, in the afternoon of January 19th, on the day that it was supposed to be banned, suddenly it came back. It suddenly returned, and we just saw like millions of people in the United States suddenly found that they now have access to TikTok again. And TikTok itself was pretty much cheering. And it even states here, now reading from my source on the BBC, it states soon after the app started working again, and a pop-up message to its millions of users thanked Trump by name. In a statement, the company thanked the incoming president for providing the necessary clarity and assurance and said it would work with Trump on a long-term solution that keeps TikTok in the United States. So, yeah. Oh, boy. Like, this entire thing, I just gotta say, has been a massive mess. A ridiculous mess, even. Because even prior to this whole thing, like just the notion of the United States government desperately trying to go and put a ban on TikTok, it was already ridiculous in the first place. Now, I will state this, that some of the concerns they did address, that actually is true. And those honestly are pretty much understandable to go and explain. Like, I understand how data mining and data privacy can be a very serious issue that should be looked upon and should actually be regulated, especially with today's social media nowadays. And not only that, but also with its connection to China and maybe possibly the Chinese government, that is also a major concern that there could be some foreign interference that could occur with TikTok, especially that it is highly popular all around the world, and it could be gathering information that they could be giving to China. Now, I understand that there are some real concerns, but the way that the US government was handling it, regardless on whose side is on, like both Democrats and Republicans, they did so in a way that they don't give a crap about those issues. They're just using it as scapegoats for them to go and push their actual agenda. Like, we all know that the real reason why they desperately wanted to go and ban TikTok was because of how pro-Palestinian the platform was. The fact that they were showing a lot of evidence that Israel were actually quite the villains in this entire narrative, that they had been committing so much genocide in Gaza and that they were exterminating Palestinians left and right. It made it very hard to refute for the United States government to be on the side of Israel in the first place. So instead of actually arguing with it, they decided to go and just burn the entire evidence altogether and just get rid of the app. Now, I don't know if that's the case with all the politicians there, but a lot of them have admitted that they just wanted to go and do that. Not to mention that if data privacy really is a serious issue, then why not actually make a law that actually states specifically regarding data privacy, to go and go after the action instead of going after a specific target? Because you can argue the same things with some of the other major social media companies as well, like with Meta and with Twitter and with some of the other ones as well. Like, you could argue that they're kind of doing the same thing, but if you would go and put in a law that specifically targets data privacy, then you would have to go and enact it onto like Meta and Twitter and all that kind of stuff. And you know that would piss off Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk. So that's why they just wanted to go and make up an excuse to go after TikTok specifically. It's kind of like all those laws regarding trans people. Like, you know that it's not specifically about the actions themselves, regardless if it's about sports or the bathrooms. You know those people don't care. They just wanted an excuse to go and target a marginalized group. That's it. It's kind of like what they were doing the same thing with TikTok. And with this ban for several months, people have been stressing out about the fate of TikTok. What's going to happen with the future of TikTok? Are things going to be okay with it? Is the app going to be fine? Is the app, what's going to happen, especially to the livelihoods of people? Like, there have been thousands of people whom actually created jobs because of TikTok. And without it, well, their businesses are just going to go and crash and burn. They can't go and migrate to other platforms like YouTube or even the meta stuff like Facebook and Instagram that easily. They need time. This is something that they've entirely built on TikTok, and it's hard to go and rebuild it again on another platform. So from there, it caused a lot of anxiety and a lot of worry and a lot of stress. And then when the time came when the ban occurred and then just reinstated, it all turned out that all these months of discussions, of anxiety, it is nothing more than a freaking PR stunt. And not just a PR stunt for TikTok, a PR stunt specifically for Donald Trump, trying to make him look like the hero. And again, even though there is the whole hypocrisy of how, you know, like he's the one who started the idea of banning TikTok in the first place. But then again, you know, with fascists nowadays, that they don't freaking care about hypocrisy. And obviously, we all know how Trump doesn't give a crap about being a hypocrite whatsoever. Like, this is nothing more but a freaking cheap and poorly executed PR stunt just to make Trump look good, especially when they did all that before his inauguration, before he even became president in the first place. So this is nothing more but just a very poorly executed propaganda. Or as some people actually stated on social media, that it's basically the Kids Bop version of the Reichstag fire. And if you don't know what that is, I highly recommend that you go look it up, and you'll find a lot of very similar parallels between the Reichstag fire and what Trump tried to pull with TikTok right there. And basically, what ultimately happened is that now with TikTok, like the fact that they decided to go and immediately bend a knee and just suck Trump's dick like massively, like just be like totally compliant and say that they're a major Trump ally right now, things have already gotten turned for the worse on TikTok. Like I've already been hearing a lot of censorship and a lot of attacks on people in the community on TikTok, like getting rid of a lot of videos that are critical towards Trump, or comments that are either critical towards Trump or that are actually pro-Palestinian. That they're like, like we're already starting to see the signs that TikTok, because they're pledging their allegiance to Trump, they're going to go into the same direction as both Twitter and what Meta is becoming right now. You know, it really, like right now, they're turning right now, TikTok has decided that in order to keep functioning in the US, they have to turn into another far-right propaganda machine. No different than, again, with Twitter and what Meta wants to try to go and do. And this is why, honestly, with this entire situation, it really does frustrate me. It really is frustrating to see that all this buildup, months of buildup, led to nothing but just a cheap PR stunt for frickin' Donald Trump, for the frickin' orange rapist. Seriously, it's just it's honestly like ridiculous. And again, like something that's just so blatantly obvious that it's just a cheap PR stunt. That it really shows how TikTok was never in trouble in the first place, that TikTok was actually fine. It was never going to even get banned in the first place, that it was nothing but a little song and dance number just to make Trump look like a freaking hero. And unfortunately, I don't think this is going to be the last time we'll be hearing about it, because you know there's going to be a lot of these Trump supporters who will try to keep using that as a positive for Donald Trump. Like, oh, look at this. He saved TikTok. Yeah, the same way that he cured autism. Yeah, it's all freaking bullcrap, man. And honestly, this is something that I feel like everybody that was involved in this case, they all took an L on this. And in the long run, their reputation is going to be corroded. You know, I feel like it's everyone. Like, everybody in the US government, like, all the Democrats took an L. All the Republicans took an L. Joe Biden took an L. And Donald Trump took an L as well. Like, even though he's trying to make it look like a W, it's a freaking clear L, because again, it's a sham PR stunt that the grand majority of people are not even buying in the first place. But the ones who are taking the biggest L right now is TikTok. The fact that now they're going to be turning into a far-right propaganda machine, and that they're probably going to do the same things like Twitter and Meta and stuff like that, where they're just going to be spreading misinformation. They're going to be spreading so much far-right nonsense out there that honestly, it's going to turn the app into something that might be virtually unusable. And that's why right now, for me personally, I'm contemplating that I don't know if I want to use TikTok anymore. You know, I honestly, that moment made me feel like Andy in Woody's Dream in Toy Story 2. You know, like you saw the app, it's like, oh, cool, TikTok just came back. Oh, it turned out that the ban was just a PR stunt for Donald Trump. I don't want to play with you anymore. You know, it honestly feels that kind of crap that, like, at best, I'm having second thoughts about what am I going to do with the platform? Because I'm just going to say right now, I've actually gathered a pretty strong following in there. I mean, I've been uploading for over 2 years in there, and I've actually been doing very well where I've gathered about 800,000 likes across all of my videos. And I even have around, I think over $12,700 followers. You know, like I've done pretty well for myself, especially for like a YouTuber of my size and getting that growth on TikTok. Honestly, I feel like that is actually an achievement that I'm personally proud of. You know, I feel like I did great. But now with what TikTok is going to become, like trying to, you know, being another like Trump propaganda machine, I don't know if I want to use it. I mean, I don't regularly go and like check out the videos in there in the first place. And I'm going to be honest, people, you know how much money I've made on TikTok? Like, because you've heard of people becoming like celebrities and make a fortune out of it. But for me personally, I've made zero. I've made nothing. And the reason why is because in Canada, there is no monetization system that is installed for Canadians to go and actually have their content, have their videos be monetizable. So so honestly, over the years of what I've been doing on TikTok, it was all for free. It was all on my personal time. And that also, it is worth noting that when it comes to those videos themselves, I have them all backlogged. I have every single video, every animation fact, every like clip that I took from like my longer videos, all of that is backed up on my computers. I have them all saved. So honestly, I personally feel like I have nothing to lose if I just leave TikTok. And for now, I'm just going to say that I'm not going to do anything with the app. I'm going to stay away from it. And I'm going to think in the long run, and do I need TikTok, or do I just abandon it altogether the same way that I've abandoned Twitter? I'm still going to be thinking about that. And I'm just going to say right now, regarding what you might want to do with it, I'm just going to say this. I know very well that you're not going to be doing, you're just, I'm not going to tell you what to do. Like what you guys do, honestly, it's just like, that's your decision. If you're going to go and keep using TikTok to watch your videos, if you guys are going to quit it, that's your choice. But I'm just saying right now, with how things are, and especially a lot of people saying that now TikTok has become a lot more political with a lot more right-wing propaganda being pushed onto them, it's not going to be as pleasant as it used to be. So I'm just saying, if you want to keep using TikTok or not, it's going to be your choice. But I think it's safe to say, after what we have just seen, it's not going to be what it used to be. So with that said, now I would like to go and pass this on to the chat wall. And I'd like to ask you all, what do you all think about the entire Twitter ban that turned out to be a cheap Trump PR stunt? I would love to know your thoughts on this, folks. Let's see. I'm going to be honest, I never used TikTok myself because it was a bit too cringe for me, but the ban itself was absolutely unacceptable. But the fact that it is basically a stunt to make Trump look good, despite the fact that he wanted it banned in the first place, seriously, it feels like nowadays all the major social media networks are becoming far-right platforms. It makes me glad that we have sites like Blue Sky that are actually usable. Exactly. And the thing is that with this entire stunt right over here, like not only is it a fascist move to make Trump look good, but it's also an excuse so that he can have a reason to keep his ratings to be somewhat up. Because I could tell you in the long run, the promises that he has made to his followers, they're not going to be met. He has already admitted that he's not going to go and lower the prices on groceries. They're still, like, the inflation is still going to be up there. He's not going to be kicking out any of the immigrants, especially when he is a strong supporter of H-1B visas. So let me tell you, regardless if those immigrants were there legally or not, they're going to stay in the US and they're going to keep their jobs. And I'm even going to state this, and I'm going to make a bold claim, even trans people are going to turn out fine. Now, I know that this means absolutely nothing coming from a cis white straight male like myself, but I'm just saying that as long as trans people actually put up a fight, if trans people will go out, and not just trans people, but the LGBTQ plus community, if they come together and actually put up a very good fight, then I'm just going to say this, your outcome is actually going to be much better than you may initially think. So again, as long as you keep fighting and you never quit and you never forget to keep on fighting, then you might there is a chance that you'll actually turn out okay. So with all these fake promises, Trump desperately needs something to go and pull out of his hat to say that I did a good, and it's this cheap little stunt, is that he saved TikTok, despite the fact that obviously the whole thing was just a cheap little trick. Like, it was never even going to happen in the first place. Anyways, let's see here. Funny enough, I did actually delete TikTok in between the ban, but even now, I still can't re-download it. Probably for the best, as I want to get away from the app. Not just for your reasons, but also to get away from doom scrolling and being on my phone as much this year, instead be more active. That said, I still hope the best for video creators and businesses that depend on it to make their living with TikTok in its current weird state. Honestly, Jack Crown, what you just said there, honestly, that was beautiful. I love that comment. Let's see what else we have here. Yet another example of Trump reaching for levels of power and control that no one should have. Of course, this whole ban was destined to go nowhere. Although having never joined TikTok, because I think it's contributing to humanity's already poor attention spans, I lost nothing for those 12 mere hours. In fact, I've withdrawn from it. I've withdrawn a bit from Facebook and Instagram since Zuckerberg's move last week that made both platforms more dangerous to minorities, which I am a part of, being autistic. Hey, good on you, dude. Definitely good on you. Hey, honestly, I'm the more I'm reading these, the more I feel proud of my fans. I'm proud of you guys, like actually taking the actions, to not just fight it, to fight against this fascism that's upon us, but also like prioritizing your own well-beings, like, to make the sacrifices of social media in order to make yourselves more happy. And that, honestly, I'm proud of you guys. You guys are leading such a wonderful example, and please keep at it, folks. Let's see now. As someone who used TikTok, I was honestly ready to accept that the app would be no more. But then I got a notification from a friend of mine that it was back online, and I was really shocked. And while I'm glad that it's back, I feel so bad for the app and ByteDance, the company who owns TikTok, because now they need to turn to people like Trump and risk their popularity in order to survive in the US. I'm still going to use TikTok, but all of this is truly heartbreaking for the app. Exactly, man. And again, I'm just warning you, don't be surprised if the videos that you're going to be getting are not as pleasant and feel more dangerous than they were before. Like, trust me, it's not going to be a fun time as it used to on TikTok. Let's see now. While I was frustrated at first that it was banned, the more I realized that it was a sham, the more I'm beginning to think that if I should still use it. The more that I'm beginning to think if I should. I want to see where things go, of course, until I make a final decision, but so far, it's not looking great. Really, so far today, it's looking grim, but I'm holding on hope in the end. But man, Captain America, Brave New World, and Daredevil are looking a lot more prominent now more than ever. Exactly, dude. Let's see. What else do we have here? I never used TikTok, but what a mess. I can't believe this mess by the government was just a PR stunt for Trump. I have a feeling the following midterm elections could have a huge effect because of the stunt, and almost every social media platform will show misinformation. I saw your post on social media featuring that Toy Story 2 scene. Also, Matt, I was unsure if the news about the TikTok ban being a stunt was legitimate. Where'd you find the source that confirms this? I mean, like, okay, I know I'm making a big allegation here, but it's just the feeling of it all. Like, when you see all the patterns of this, you could tell that a lot of it kind of feels like a sham. Like, I know, like, I'm just expressing my opinion here. And I mean, don't take everything that I say as fact, of course. But from there, it's just from the look of it all, like from everything that happened on the weekend before Trump's inauguration, the way that the ban just came and went so fast, the way that TikTok was pandering so much to Donald Trump, even calling him President Trump before he became president. There's so much of it that feels so suspicious that it was all just a freaking setup. That's all I'm saying. But again, like, you don't have to take my word for it. Again, I'm only expressing my opinion. In fact, that's pretty much that's pretty much the whole thing with this podcast. It's about me expressing my opinion. But still, though, there's just a lot of it. I just wanted to express that so much of it that at best feels massively suspicious. All right, I think I'll read one more comment and then we'll move on to our next break. Let's see. Someone even mentioned that trans rights are human rights. That's exactly right. Not to mention of how insane it is, of how like suddenly the world pretty much forgot that, data privacy and China seems to be an issue with TikTok. I guess those magically don't exist anymore. Let's see. I don't use TikTok. I never had the app because I just didn't really feel the need to have it. My sister has shared certain TikTok clips, but that's it. Not using TikTok is not a loss for me. I hope marginalized people can meet on other websites that congregate and seek support. I hope sites like Kickstarter or GoFundMe don't ban trans people or LGBTQ plus people. Yeah, let's honestly hope. All right, so with that said, now we're going to go on to our next break, and we're going to move out of the US, and I'm going to be bringing in some news about Canada. Now, a lot of it you might not immediately understand, mainly because, well, a lot of it seems like Canadian business news, but there is a major animation connection to it and a concerning animation connection. So stay tuned for that, and we're going to go and talk about what's been going on in my home country. All right, we are back. Now, let's go and talk about some Canadian news. Yes, finally, the Canadian talks about things that are happening in Canada. But this time around, we actually have something that is a little bit worrisome, especially for animation fans. Now, for this one, I just want to go and tell you right now, bear with me on this because there's going to be a lot of business talk, but it will actually lead to something. And so let's go ahead and discuss about what's been going on with Corus Entertainment. And by the way, I do apologize because there was a point where I did read this article in full. This is from the Globe and Mail, but unfortunately, I've been sadly paywalled, as you can see. So I cannot show you the content of what's been actually said. But anyways, back to what I was talking about. Yes, apparently things have been going extremely bad for Corus Entertainment. Like, it really is at the point where it's been going from bad to worse, in which their businesses has been like sinking more and more and more and more. Now, for those of you who don't know, Corus Entertainment is a major media company in Canada, one of the biggest, in fact. They actually do own many different TV channels and many different TV networks. That's kind of like the main thing that they actually go and do. So if I could just go and show you on this Wikipedia article, they are the owners of Global Television, as well as some other stuff like Home Network and Slice. And they would even license channels to be aired in Canada, such as History, Lifetime, and National Geographic, as well as showing stuff like Showcase, W Network, Movie Time, Deja Vu, as well as some animated channels as well. They had Teletoon when Teletoon used to be on, but now, unfortunately, it has been turned into Cartoon Network. They also licensed the Disney channels to be in Canada, such as Disney Channel, Disney Junior, and Disney XD. And they also own YTV, which is the Canadian equivalent of Nickelodeon. So from there, and yes, they do also license Nickelodeon to be shown in Canada, on top of also showing the preschool network Treehouse. And on top of that, they even own some French channels like the French Disney Channel, Historia, Séries Plus, and the French version of Teletoon. In fact, so far, the French version of Teletoon and the streaming app Teletoon Plus are the only things that are keeping the Teletoon legacy alive. But anyways, so this is pretty much to go and show the assets that Corus Entertainment actually owns. But going back to Corus itself, business has been going terribly. Right now, they are literally over $1 billion in debt. And not only that, but they've also, like, this actually happened back last summer, in which they had to let go of 800 employees, which is a significant fraction. I believe they said it was around 20% or like a quarter of their entire workforce, and just had to completely let them go. And from there, there was a recent news that actually came out that part of the reason was, unfortunately, because of the inner corruption that was happening within Corus Entertainment. Now, you could correct me if I'm wrong on the facts on these, but I do believe that they actually did state that about $13 million was funneled from the company, and they were given to the senior executives and even the CEO. Including, there was one CEO that was leaving Corus Entertainment, but he ended up getting a massive, like, I think over $4 million in terms of their severance package. And like almost like the grand majority of it was from funneling all that money. So yeah, there was, like I said before, there was a bit of corruption. So in a way, the downfall of Corus Entertainment is kind of because of themselves, and it's because of the shady practices that have been happening within Corus Entertainment, rather it be with many of the senior executives or with the Shaw family who actually do own Corus Entertainment, or with the previous CEOs. So there are obviously a lot of problems that are going in with Corus Entertainment, and that they're really going down under. And even if they're trying their best in terms of like keeping themselves afloat, like I said before, they did fire 800 people. And even though they did try to sell some of their own assets to other Canadian companies such as Bell Media and stuff like that, it was just not working. Now, why am I bringing this up? What is the point of this whole story about talking about Corus Entertainment? Well, it's not really related to Corus Entertainment per se, but it's actually related to a rumor. And this is something that I want to go and immediately clarify, that for now, this is just a rumor. There's no official source that would go and say if this is actually true. But for now, a lot of people are speculating that this could happen because of the ill fate that is currently upon Corus Entertainment. Because one of the major assets that Corus Entertainment does own, on top of all the channels, is an animation studio called Nelvana. And not just any animation studio, it's one of the oldest and one of the most prestigious in Canada. And for those of you who don't know, when it comes to Nelvana, they were actually the creators of some highly memorable animated shows throughout the decades, like throughout the 1980s, 1990s, 2000s, and the 2010s and so forth, they actually created some very popular shows, not just in Canada, but all around the world. These are the people who created beloved animated shows such as, and these are just a few examples, by the way. They created the Care Bears. They created the Magic School Bus. They created Rupert. They created the Franklin the Turtle series. They created Little Bear. They created Redwall. They helped create Beyblade. A lot of people have even brought up some examples. They even did the animated segments for the Star Wars Holiday Special. They created the Backyardigans. They created Max and Ruby, the Bearstein Bears, the Rock and Rule movie. Even recently, they've done the Hotel Transylvania series. And they even did, what was that other one? Thomas All Engines Go. So they actually did a whole lot that many animation fans are familiar with. And unfortunately, because of what's been going on with Corus Entertainment, rumors have been circulating that Nelvana may shut down. Now, again, we haven't heard exactly where the source specifically may actually be. There's no official confirmation if that actually is the case. But so far, from connecting the dots that we have seen, there is a possibility that it may lead to that actual option. Because again, Corus Entertainment has been trying hard in order to sell some of their assets to the other major Canadian corporations, but none has yet to actually go and purchase them. So the best that they could actually go and do is just make some of their own sacrifices, like the 800 jobs. And eventually down the line, because of that billion-dollar debt, they're going to have to eventually make some other major sacrifices as well. That they're going to have to go and cut down on some of the streaming services that they own, that they have to cut down on some of the TV networks. A lot of people have been talking about the possible fate of Global Network, of like if Global News would even survive at this point. And throughout these sacrifices, a lot of people can imagine that maybe Nelvana could actually be one that could legitimately go, especially when, yes, among those 800 jobs, a lot of them are actually were actually from Nelvana. And not only that, but it's also worth mentioning, if I could go and quickly look this up, but like I actually just wrote Nelvana on Google, and if you go into the news, there's actually one that actually wrote that the head of Nelvana actually just left, and it was 4 days ago. Now, I can't necessarily confirm if the source is actually legitimate, especially when it's not showing us. But if this is actually true, then that actually presents a serious problem. That actually shows something that is quite concerning with what's going on. And there's even I see someone here also mention that and this was actually back during the time when they were doing all those layoffs. Nelvana co-CEO John Gosling announced, "We're making tough decisions to shutter areas of the business we can no longer sustain and pause longer-term development activities while we implement efficient initiatives." So in that regard, yeah, there's a lot of these signs that actually do show that the fate of Nelvana is honestly very, like, we don't know what its fate is. Like, is it going to survive? Are they going to keep Nelvana? Will they shut it down? And I've seen a lot of people even suggest about the possible idea that maybe they could just separate themselves entirely from Corus Entertainment to become independent, try to pull a similar move like what the video game company Toys for Bob actually pulled out. Now, I don't know if that could be something that could actually be efficient, or if that is something that could actually work off well. Because the thing is with Nelvana is that even though they've been they've been a prominent studio for several decades. They have been purchased by Corus back in 2000, I believe. And from that, in that regard, I don't know if it's easy to just like, cut themselves away so that they could be free to be themselves, to be independent and stuff like that. I think that's like, that feels like something that is a lot more difficult. And I mean, with Toys for Bob, maybe that could be something that could be, it's something that it could be pulled off in the US, but in Canada, I think that might be a little bit of a different story. I think it might be a little bit more complicated than that. So honestly, with this entire story, again, I want to go and clarify that this is just a rumor. So far, this is nothing but speculation that people have been going around thinking about the possibility of what may happen in the future. But I'm just going to say for now, it's something that is worth keeping an eye out for. It is something to go and inspect, that maybe this could happen, and especially with how bad things are going with Corus Entertainment, it's worth checking out to see how things are going with Nelvana in case things might go under. Because if the situation does occur that Nelvana does ultimately shut down, then we know exactly what the reasons are for, or why is it that it even happened in the first place. So in that regard, I'm just going to say, I really do hope that is not the case. I really do hope Nelvana does continue because, I mean, as a Canadian myself, of course, I grew up with a lot of Nelvana shows. I mean, I remember in my youth where I would often see that little polar bear looking up at the sky with all those stars. That's always a fun memory. But still, though, like it's just very concerning to see if that will happen in the first place. So for now, I'm just going to say, if you are concerned with what's going on with Nelvana and if those rumors are going to be true, just keep an eye on what's happening with the businesses with Corus Entertainment and see if that is going to occur. Just keep an eye out to see if they're really going to go and take down Nelvana, or if they'll find different ways to boost their businesses and keep Nelvana alive. So with that said, now I would like to go onto the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, what do you all think about the rumors of Nelvana possibly shutting down because of how bad things are going with Corus Entertainment? Do you guys believe this rumor may be true? Are you worried if it's true? Let me know what you all think. Let's see now. Actually, I am curious if, here, let me just go. And I think I'll go and make a poll, actually. Might as well go and actually ask you all. Do you think the rumors about Nelvana are true? So I'll just go and write down yes and no and see what you have to say. All right, anyways, let's see in the chat wall. This was the studio that made Canadian shows during my childhood in the 2000s in the US. These include Magic School Bus, Little Bear, Roly Poly, Rescue Heroes, Cyber Chase, Max and Ruby, Bear Stained Bears, and the Backyardigans. I just hope that Nelvana will continue to stay afloat. I just want to thank you Canadians for providing us with great shows throughout the years. Hey, you're very welcome. I mean, I didn't do it, but I mean, we Canadians have a proud history with animation. All right, anyways, I grew up with so many shows like the Backyardigans, Max and Ruby, and the Bear Stained Bears. After seeing the rumors on Blue Sky, I feel very worried and upset if Nelvana is going to shut down. I even showed the rumors to my Canadian friends a few days ago, or to my Canadian friend a few days ago, and he's even very devastated at the possibility of the shutdown. If it's really true, then I'll definitely miss the excellent content Nelvana gave to us. You Canadians gave us great shows. It's all thanks to the studio with the polar bear looking at the stars. All right, let's see what other comments are there. I have heard that Corus Entertainment has been the biggest monopoly around entertainment in Canada. All I could say is, damn, I absolutely love Nelvana. I actually grew up watching their shows like Magic School Bus, Babar, 16, Clone High, and their movie Rock and Rule. I hope it doesn't shut down. They are quite underrated. I actually stopped by their booth at Lightbox Expo, and they told me that they still watch Rock and Rule every year. That's cute. Well, yeah. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that they have a massive monopoly per se. I mean, at the time, there were still other major Canadian animation studios like Cinar, for example. But then again, with Cinar, they kind of have their own corrupted history going on. So there was that. But honestly, I would just want to say that I am a bit hesitant to say that that Nelvana has a major monopoly in terms of Canadian animated entertainment. I don't think that's true. We've had several other studios who would provide shows, not just for people around the world, but even for like just in Canada. Like we've got a lot of shows in Teletoon and YTV that were made by other studios than Nelvana. All right, let's see what else we got here. Let's see. I remember back when I was a kid, I watched plenty of animated series from Nelvana, and seeing them in the state they're in right now is depressing, especially with the current state of Corus Entertainment. I'm really hoping for the best for Nelvana, not just because of the memories I had with their shows, but for the sake of people who work there. All right, that's cute. Let's see what other comments are there to go and read. Oh, and apparently we do have results here. And interestingly enough, the grand majority of you have actually said no. 88% of you who have voted actually said that you do not believe that Nelvana is going to be shutting down. So that's interesting. All right. Let's see. What else do we have here? What other comments? Okay, there we go. I honestly don't know what to feel since this is a rumor to consider to what may be the future of Nelvana. As a kid, I too did grow up with a lot of those shows. Magic School Bus, Roly Poly Oly, and mostly including the Nickelodeon shows. Funny enough, the first 5 seasons of The Fairly Odd Parents actually counts. It is very concerning to what they have made Mind Up being a major loss. I hope they come up strong in the end and that they have a chance to get it back up to do more amazing shows. Yeah, definitely. Let's hope on that. Anyways, I grew up watching several shows with Nelvana stars, as I am a Canadian, like Franklin, The Backyardigans, Timothy Goes to School, Max and Ruby, Magic School Bus, and Babar. And while I hope they stay afloat, I recently watched Rock and Rule, but Corus is the big business, and it's not in the greatest state, so the news will fill me in. Oh, the news will fill me in. Exactly. It's just keep up to date with what's been going on in the news. I know I definitely will, like as a Canadian myself. Let's see now. I think I'll read one more comment before we go here. Let's see. The animation studio is stuck between a rock and a hard place because of the budget cuts and layoffs across Corus Entertainment. A number of positions at Nelvana were eliminated, including that of Vice President Athena Georgia Kliss, and all development of new projects was paused. Even Nelvana also sold its software subsidiary, Toon Boom Animation Software. Hopefully Nelvana is doing okay. Also, I heard on Discord that many hardcore Thomas fans are so happy that rumor may be true. Stupid. Oh, right, because of all the ridiculous hate about Thomas All Engines Go. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's definitely cringe right there. That's definitely a bad take to go and yeah, I was there once upon a time, but I've learned better. And yeah, if you're honestly rooting for the downfall of Nelvana just because of the show that you hate so much that you're obviously too old to go and freaking watch, then honestly, the problem is you right there. All right, so anyways, we're going to go on to one more break and we're going to get into the finale. And don't worry, after all these discussions that we've had, I think it's time that we go and cap this episode off on a higher note. So stay tuned for that. and we're gonna go and switch up the mood a bit. And now, everyone, it is time that we are gonna go and close this episode off with the grand finale. And on this finale, I decided that, you know what? There was a lot of emotions that we just really let out. A lot of shock, a lot of frustration, a lot of confusion. You know, we need something to go and end this off on a lighter note, on a more positive note, on something that we could actually look forward to in the future. And there is one silver lining that we did receive last week. And we might as well go and take a little bit of a look of what this is. So I actually have a little video here that will present us what the discussion of this little segment shall be. And yes, folks, that is Nintendo's latest or next generation console, which is going to be the Nintendo Switch 2. And the first look trailer that we have received here, we saw how it looks, which is basically an upgraded Switch, which I will be talking about a little bit later. But at the same time, on this first look trailer, they've also revealed a whole bunch of other stuff as well. One of the major things is in regards to what the first game that we know is going to be on the Nintendo Switch 2, which is going to be a brand new Mario Kart game. Yes, this isn't going to be like another version of Mario Kart 8 or anything like that. No, this is an all-new version. And as you can see here, not only are the karts getting a brand new design, but even the characters themselves. Like, you look at Mario, you look at Bowser, and like a lot of people have even pointed out, like if you see Donkey Kong in the back, excuse me, you'll notice that they had a massive change in their design. So this is going to be a brand new Mario Kart game, maybe even the long-awaited Mario Kart 9. And on top of that, we are going to be getting a little bit more additional information later about the Nintendo Switch 2, in which they're going to be revealing it on April 2nd of this year. So in the next few months, we're going to be learning a little bit more of what the Nintendo Switch 2 is. And on top of that, if we go and, no pun intended, but switch onto Nintendo's official website, they even revealed that there are going to be some experiences where in certain cities, during a specific weekend, you'll actually have your first ever experience with the Nintendo Switch 2. So this is going to be happening across the months of April and May, and even later a little bit of June as well. So there, like as you can see here, there are the specific dates which are going to be happening for New York, Los Angeles, Dallas, and Toronto in North America. Then in Europe, there's going to be experiences in Paris, London, Milan, Berlin, Madrid, and Amsterdam. In Australia, there's going to be one in Melbourne. And then in Asia, there's going to be an experience in Tokyo, specifically in the Makuhari region, in Seoul, Hong Kong, and in Taipei. So that is the major news that we have seen here, folks. It's the fact that we are going to be getting the Nintendo Switch 2. And my God, for such a long time, we have been hearing a lot about what's going to be Nintendo's next console. For about a few years, I would even say, a lot of people have been discussing about the possibility of when we are going to be hearing about Nintendo's next console after the Nintendo Switch, because at this point, it's been quite some time since we've had the Switch. And I mean, it had a legendary run. I mean, it's been one of Nintendo's, or even video games in general, one of the most successful consoles out there. Like almost everybody, like there are so many people out there who actually do own a Nintendo Switch. Even non-gamers would get their hands on a Nintendo Switch, kind of like in the same way of how like 2 decades prior, people were getting their hands on a Nintendo Wii. So in that regards, with that big success, of course, what seems to be the logical next step of what's going to be after the Nintendo Switch is going to be the sequel to the Nintendo Switch. And so far, like, even though we don't necessarily have a lot of information of what it's going to be, but so far from the looks of it, of what they have presented, a lot of it seems to be like this upgraded version of the Nintendo Switch. It's basically everything that we know about the Nintendo Switch, except a little bit more updated. In fact, the most that they have presented that feels like it's a little bit more different, it's the controllers, where, of course, we know with the Nintendo Switch, you could just play it handheld by sticking the controllers on the side, like snapping them down, and then like you could play it handheld, or you could go and take those controllers off and you could either play them individually, like in your tiny little hands. In fact, hold on a sec. What the fridge am I doing? I actually do have an example right over here. I can just go and grab it. So like I have my Switch control, I have my Switch controllers. So it's like either you could just play one and play with the tiniest controller imaginable, or you could play with 2 of them, like have both and have a little bit of more of a comfortable grip at it. And then also, like, there are other ways that you could go and control it. But either way, the whole thing with the Switch is that there are many different ways that you can actually play with the Switch because of these controllers. But instead of the first Switch, where you have to go and snap them onto the console or snap them onto a different controller, right now what they are presenting, it looks like it's going to be magnetic. Is that these controllers, they actually snap onto the consoles or they snap onto the controllers, making it a little bit easier to go and actually connect with them. So that seems to be, for now, the biggest difference between the Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo Switch 2. Not to mention the size as well, that also makes a difference in terms of like how they are. So a lot of it, I will say, feels like it's kind of like, it feels like we're pretty much getting the same console, but a little bit more updated. It doesn't necessarily seem that different from what we have witnessed before when Nintendo released the OLED edition of the Nintendo Switch, which is a bigger and more powerful console than the original Switch. So honestly, I do, for now, hold on a sec. Man, I finished my cold and yet I'm still coughing. What the fridge? So in that regards, even though we don't necessarily know, my first impression of it is like, okay, I mean, it looks cool, but I'm yet sold on the idea of what makes it really different from the original Nintendo Switch. And I mean, I know that we're going to be learning so much more of what else it could legitimately do, but when we'll have the Nintendo Direct in April. So that's going to be something that we'll definitely be keeping an eye out for to learn more about how this will stand out from the original Switch. But either way, though, I just got to say that I know that I cannot criticize it too much. Like, even if I do have, like, my cynical view on how things are with the Switch 2, that it looks the same, but like now it just has a big 2 on it. I can't be overly critical, mainly because of the fact that I know for a fact that possibly by the end of 2025 or maybe by the beginning of 2026, I'm going to get my hands on it. Even if it does look like an updated version of the Switch, I know that I'm going to be getting it in my hands at some point. It's not like the whole thing with win or lose that I'm just contemplating if I do want to go and watch it or not, because of like the moral implications of everything. But when it comes to the Switch 2, I know that at the end of the day, even if I slam the living crap out of it, there's a little part of my brain that is asking me, but you're still gonna get it though, right? I know. You know, that's the thing. Like, I know that I'll be pretty shameless into actually getting it in my hands and getting the new games that are going to be coming for it. So, yeah, I am. So, regardless of like how it is, I am definitely excited to see what is in store with the Nintendo Switch 2, and not to mention that new Mario Kart game. I want to see more of what they are presenting, especially if they're going to be completely changing the aesthetic of Mario, because for a long time they've kept it the same. I mean, yeah, they did update it for the movie, but I mean, that's the movie. That's like a different excuse. I mean, of course, Illumination, it has to go and make some kind of upgrades compared to how they look at the game. But for the longest time, the Mario designs, like, they've remained the same. You know, they've remained the same for a long time, and seeing a new update of it, that's going to be very interesting to see what they are going to do for that. So, yeah, honestly, overall, I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye on this. I want to learn a lot more on it. And even though, for now, a lot of it looks the same as what we already know with the Nintendo Switch, I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on it. I'm definitely excited to see what's in store. And yeah, I'm definitely going to be planning on getting it. All right, so anyways, with that said, now I would like to go on to the chat wall, and I want to ask you all, what do you all think of the Nintendo Switch 2? What are your first impressions of it, and are you planning on getting it? And also, what are you hoping for with the Nintendo Switch 2? What are you hoping that the Switch 2 can do that the original Switch hasn't done? Let me know what you think. All right, let me see here. I remember getting the original Switch back in 2019, and so far, I'm really impressed with the Switch 2, especially with how it looks bigger, has backwards compatibility. Oh, and I did forget to mention, yes, there will be backwards compatibility where you will be playing your original Switch games. And hold on, don't run away from me, comment. And the first new Mario Kart game in over a decade. I cannot wait to find out more information. Although I'm not sure if I'll get it at launch, I might wait for the price to be announced to make a decision. That is very fair. That's definitely fair. And I mean, yeah, I'm sure the price is going to be one thing that not many people are going to be excited about, especially if it's going to be coming out like maybe around like in the $500 price range. That's just going to be my guess, but we'll see with what they're going to do. We'll see what they'll announce. All right, let's see now. I am a Switch user and I am optimistic about this. Plus a new Mario Kart game, cool. Although I so far think Switch 2 is a repainted of the first Switch, but I will give it a chance once reviews come out. And Switch 2 reminds me of the SpongeBob SquarePants movie where the Krusty Krab 2 was revealed, and it looks the same to the original Krusty Krab. Oh my god! I'm not gonna lie, I actually did think of that back when it was announced, that it really does feel like a case of the Krusty Krab 2, especially like when you look at it like this, it really does bring out that vibe, especially when like you have that big 2 that's just placed on it. Like, you got all the familiar things with it, except now you just got a big 2 on it. So I do get what you mean. You do bring up a good point. Let's see now. Where to start? First of all, I really do love the redesign. I like that it keeps the blue and red color of the bigger looking Joy-Cons, and hearing it will be more powerful is a big plus for me. Also, I could say that I am absolutely excited about the Nintendo Switch 2. Well, hello there, new Mario Kart game. Currently, I'm in the lottery system to try out the Switch 2 in the Switch 2 experience in LA. Hopefully, I'll get it so that I could review it. Oh, and I'm planning to get one this year. Yeah, honestly, that's also another major reason why I am thinking of definitely getting a Switch 2, because even if it is just an upgraded version of the Nintendo Switch, honestly, I think I do need an upgrade, because honestly, I've had my Nintendo Switch for a long time. I think I've had it like back when it was like brand new. So like back in, I think even at the end of 2017, maybe. So yeah, like honestly, I am due for an upgrade. And yeah, there are some things that like honestly, a little bit of a setback where the battery can be pretty short and stuff like that. But still though, like even if it is just an upgraded version of the Switch, I am kind of like, I think it is time for me to get an upgrade anyways. So yeah, honestly, it's like, even like with like my criticisms in a way are also kind of like a personal plus. All right. Anyways, let's see. To quote the striped sweater fish from SpongeBob, finally, that's what we've been waiting for. It's been years since we were left in the dark with just the Switch. I'm super hyped to get this console. I'm pretty curious of the Switch 2's mechanics, like the Joy-Cons, for example. Instead of sliding them in, you just pop them. And just like that, and it looks like they're also turning them into a mouse as well. Also, I gotta say, with the new Mario Kart game, Mario Kart 9, y'all! Okay, well, I don't know about that. Hold on, time out. I get what you mean. Like, specifically, it was like that, like, this little moment where they're like racing around. I don't think it's literally to show off the functionality that it's going to be a mouse, you know? Like, I don't think it's going to work in that way. And maybe they will, but I think it's just some nice, you know, some nice stylistic animation to go and show off the Switch 2's controllers. So, like, I honestly, I'm waiting until April so that we do know what they're going to say about it. Anyways, let's be honest, y'all. We all knew a Switch 2 was going to happen. As someone who owned the original Switch back in 2018, this is pretty exciting. All I got out of this is that this is just an advanced version of the Switch, plus a new Mario Kart game looks really cool so far. Overall, I will keep an eye out on this, but I might buy it if it isn't too expensive. Don't bet on that, because like I said, the thing that people are going to be least excited about is to see what the price is. And define what you mean by not too expensive, because chances are it might. All right, I think I'll read one more, maybe two more comments before we cap this off. Let's see. The Switch 2 is really impressive. The controller is really comfortable. Console itself almost looks like a tablet, and graphics are looking good, especially Mario Kart 9. So overall, I look forward to it. Although I'm a little disappointed that you didn't talk about the new Glitch series, Knights of Guinevere, especially as it is made by the Owl's House creator Dana Terrence. Yes, I do get it, but I mean, it is one of those weeks that, you know, we had so much to go and talk about, so I had to go and pick a selected few to really make like a strong episode. But I mean, who knows? Like, who knows though? I mean, like, that was just a small teaser trailer. Maybe like when the real trailer does come out, I'll give it a chance to actually go and fully talk about it. Anyways, let's see if we have one more comment to go and check out. You know what? This one actually looks fun. This is why I love to say art evolution and graphical evolution. I can be stressed about the drawbacks of it, such as the fear of going back to the past. All I want, but that's what makes it exciting. Granted, I need lots of money to finally embrace it, but I'm more thrilled of embracing it every month, year, and years, of seeing how much everything has grown and changed, and evolving. Good excitement for a swell art and graphical evolution, baby. All right, and I think with that said, that should do it for this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. Man, I told you this was going to be a real crazy one. But I just want to say thank you all so much for joining me on this wild adventure, and hopefully we'll continue with this pace in the next episodes to come. I know there are some exciting things to go and talk about for next week. In fact, I did hear that pretty soon we're going to be getting those Oscar nominations, so that'll be a fun discussion. And also, I just want to go and say, if you guys want more crazy stories from AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, if you want to go and follow me, well, what you can do is that you could subscribe to the AniMat Live Twitch channel, or you could go and subscribe to the AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast YouTube channel. And at the same time, if you are listening to me to whatever podcast you're listening to, then don't forget to go and follow me there as well. Rather be on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, and many, many more. And with that said, I would like to say thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, see you later, dudes.